And then it's like, we are now setting this person up so that when they go and we get rid of them, the audience will be just fine.
Get rid of them.
They'll be just fine. Like, it'll be time. I agree with you. And I really believe that. I mean, a lot of people come on and they're just boring and they're not a good fit and they're there for like 1 season or 2 seasons and the audience doesn't need to do anything. Why are you raising your hand, Kathryn?
That was me.
Okay. I was not referring to you. I was thinking of some other people from Beverly Hills, but the point.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that most women, if they wanted to stand, if I would have like gone crazy after Faye Resnick and, done all these things that they wanted me to do, I probably could have had another season. Right. But to me, it's like, what, do you really want that? I just didn't feel like the price to pay for it all was worth it. I would rather go and walk away with my dignity than, when I go to the shopping mall, feel like everyone's like, talking as soon as I pass, like there's that nut job.
Well, okay. I have so much to say about that. First of all, I mean, most people I talk to the first season are given like no guidance. They're just like, welcome. Right. And so like, my question to you is, because a lot of people, most people don't know what to do, but a lot do. But I think most people that don't do well their first season, they really don't know what to do and nobody is going to help them. That's where the show is authentic from most people. Right. But we'll talk about you because you might have had a different situation because of Faye. But like most people in their first season, there is no breaking. There is no producer saying, listen, get in there, do that. They're literally just like, you will. And certainly your castmates, because it's like Game of Thrones, are not helping you. So I've talked to so many 1 season wonders where they will literally say to someone like, what am I supposed to do? And they'll be like, just walk away.
There was another producer when I was on that was saying, she's talking smack in all of her confessionals. You need to get her. This is what's going on. And don't tell the other producer that I told you this because I'll get fired. There was someone that was doing that in our season.
You might have been an exception just because you had these ties to Faye and it was like just too rich in history to.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest with you, I think if Kyle wouldn't have said to me what she said before that night, like when I was walking in, like, please, don't go after her. She was like, didn't leave her home for 3 months and she was almost suicidal. Like she was so devastated by the whole thing. If Faye would have like not been how she was that night, I would have probably been the shit show. I probably would have said all the things. I swear, as God is my witness, I went in there literally rehearsed on exactly how I was just gonna just like rapid fire, let her have it. And she just rolled over instantly. And I thought, okay, if I say anything, I'm a bully. She's apologized. And then I'm still gonna come at her with, guns blazing when she said she's sorry. And, and if she's ever made anyone feel bad and she's like, I'm not just apologize. I really am sorry. And if I've done anything, what do you do?
You're like, do you think that was a setup though? Or that was really authentic? Like no one said to her.
I think she really didn't want it. I do think she really didn't want it. And, yeah, I mean, and it was, there was a good amount of time that had gone by, but I had never met her until that night. And it was kind of like that one thing where I felt like, oh boy, this is my chance. If she comes at me bitchy and I saw the way she had treated other people, I thought if she comes at me like that, boy, oh boy, oh boy, like let me, because I know things about her that all of these other women at the table, even Kyle, don't know about her. And
you would have brought the house down.
I would have said things to just put a stop to all of it. And, and I'm really glad I didn't. I don't regret that for 1 minute. I do not regret at all. not saying it. And everyone's like, what would you have said? And it doesn't, you know what I mean? If I was going to say it, I would have said it then. I'm sure as hell not going to say it now.
And you just like, you don't see her, like everything's fine now. Like if you ran into her.
I don't see her. I don't see her. But if I did see her, yeah, I wouldn't be rude to her or anything. She's a good friend of Kyle. And I think her life has really changed. You know, I think that you're talking about a person, or when I'm talking about the person and who she was then is very different from who she is now. And she was coming off of a really tumultuous time in her life. And, you know, and I am very, very sensitive to people who battle addiction and, you know, drug abuse, alcohol, whatever that is. I grew up in a family of that. I am very, very sensitive to that. And I am not one to kick someone when they're down and fighting that. And when I met her at Kyle's house, she was not that person. So I just felt like it wasn't the right thing to do.
As you said, like with Erica, it's like, you know, it's like kicking the wounded puppy. Like if you came after her, you'd be like kicking a wounded puppy that night you met
Who,
her.
Eric? Erica?
No,
Oh,
Faye.
Faye. Yeah. Exactly. That's
But
exactly.
you've made some reference to kicking a wounded puppy. I don't know
Yeah,
in terms of
right.
Erica. I forgot what it was, but that's what it would have been if you came after Faye.
I mean, and she wasn't a wounded puppy by any means. She's a very intelligent woman who's, you know, by no means is she some, you know, poor person who can't, you know, speak for herself. But enough time had gone by, and when she apologized and said, hey, I'm sorry, you know, and basically just that she wanted to move on. I will say though, in the reunion, when I watched it back and I watched that episode back, I kind of saw it a little differently. I felt like, boy, was she being you know, patronizing, and was she kind of being fake? And so I was a little, you know, not so sympathetic to her at the time. I was like, I never want to be your friend. I didn't trust her type thing. Like I just felt like, you know, maybe she was just paying me lip service so she didn't have to engage.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know her.
I'm shocked that producer, I think they must have wanted something bigger. And like, that's why they were telling you this.
Everyone did. Everyone did. I mean, hello, come on. That's the reason why I was brought on that season.
It's too like the backstory. Listen, I mean, I think we're kind of over it now, right? As a nation, or like, I mean, we've had the Kardashians, we've had American Crime Story, the OJ, like, are we,
Right.
but that is that this, even 5 years ago, it was just still too sensationalized.
Hang on, honey, will you get me the charger for the iPad? He's so sweet.
Right. It was still too, so I mean, yes, I think that's a huge reason why you were probably brought on.
I mean, I have no false ideas of, you know, as I said, I'm nobody. I mean, I'm what.
Well, they cast a lot of unknowns, but I have to say, like, everyone I've talked to, there's no guidance. It's like you're thrown in, and then every now and then you get someone like an Erica. And listen, it happens in like a Dorinda, like that right from the start. They just know. You either, but the ones that don't lie, it's like literally, I've talked to so many, they're just like, nobody told me anything. And certain people just don't have it in them. And that's not bad. It means that you're like probably a good, normal person. Yeah. But if you want it and you are like hungry for that fame, and most of them are, because you are not doing it for your $60,000 when you're spending $120 on hair and makeup and events. I mean, I've talked to housewives that will say, no one told me to spend money, but I felt pressure that when we were in Cartier, I should buy the $7,000 ring. And I know that's very cheap for Cartier, but like, I've talked to housewives that are like, I just was in situations where it's like, I felt like I needed to whip out a credit card and just spend, because if I wanted to stay, and that's what I do. So